a better job, a bigger business, a viral idea. But in real life, the moment that truly decides your future is much simpler than that. It is the moment something goes wrong. A sudden bill, a broken phone, a medical expense, a lost client, a delayed salary. And in that exact moment, one small habit quietly separates people who panic from people who stay calm. That habit is having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is not about becoming rich. It is about becoming stable. It is the money you prepare for life's interruptions, not for your dreams. And most people ignore it because it is not exciting. You cannot show it off. It does not grow fast. It does not feel powerful. But it protects something far more important than your bank account. It protects your decisions. When you do not have an emergency fund, every problem becomes a threat. You feel pressure to accept bad work, bad deals, and even bad relationships simply because you cannot afford to say no. Your mind is always busy calculating risk, not opportunity. You are not choosing your life. You are reacting to it. That is why this one small habit can save your future. Imagine this simple situation. Your laptop breaks. You need it for work. Without an emergency fund, you panic. You borrow money. You use a credit card. You delay important work. You lose confidence. One small problem becomes a chain reaction. But with an emergency fund, the same problem becomes a short pause. You fix it. You move on. Your life continues. The difference is not money. The difference is preparation. Most people wait for the perfect time to start saving, after they earn more, after their expenses go down, after life becomes easier. But life never becomes easier first. Life becomes easier after you become prepared. That is why the rule is simple. You do not wait to save. You save first, even if the amount is small. Start with $1 a day. Yes, $1. People underestimate how powerful consistency is. $1 feels useless, but the habit it builds is priceless. The habit of paying your future self before you pay your lifestyle. The habit of choosing stability over comfort. When you save $1 a day, you are not building money. You are building identity. You are becoming someone who protects their future. At first, your emergency fund will look small, very small, and your mind will try to convince you that it is pointless. But what matters is not the number. What matters is the behavior. Because once the habit becomes automatic, increasing the amount becomes easy. The real enemy of financial security is not low income. It is inconsistent behavior. An emergency fund is your personal shock absorber. It absorbs the impact of life, so your long-term plans do not get destroyed by short-term problems. Without it, every surprise pushes you backward. With it, surprises become manageable. There is something very important most people never talk about. An emergency fund changes the way you think. When you know you can survive a few months without income, your fear becomes smaller. Your creativity becomes bigger. You start thinking long-term. You start making better decisions. You stop rushing. You stop choosing what is urgent. You start choosing what is important. This is why people who have an emergency fund often look calmer, even if they are not rich. They are not calmer because life is easy. They are calmer because they are buffered. Money does not only buy things, it buys time, and an emergency fund buys you time when you need it the most. Now let's talk about what an emergency fund really is. It is not money for shopping. It is not money for vacations. It is not money for investing. It is not money for upgrading your lifestyle. It is money for problems. That is it. Its only job is to protect your life when something goes wrong. A true emergency fund should be simple, boring, and easy to access. You should not worry about returns. You should worry about reliability. You should be able to reach it quickly without penalties, without stress, and without complicated steps. Because when emergencies happen, clarity matters more than profit. So how much should you actually save? A simple and realistic goal is 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses, not your full lifestyle. Only what you truly need to survive. Rent, food, transportation, basic bills, nothing more. If that number feels overwhelming, remember this. You are not building it in 1 month. You are building it one habit at a time. $1 a day, then 2, then 5, then 10. Your pace does not matter. Your consistency does. The biggest mistake people make is trying to build an emergency fund like a project. They go extreme for 2 weeks. They track everything. They feel motivated. And then life happens, and the habit disappears. Do not build this with motivation. Build it with automation. The best emergency fund strategy is boring but powerful. The moment you receive your income, move a small amount immediately into your emergency fund. Do not wait until the end of the month. Do not save what is left. Save what matters first. Leftover money rarely exists, but protected money does. If you can automate it, do it. Even a tiny automatic transfer changes everything, because it removes decision-making from the process. And when you remove decisions, you remove excuses. Now let's be honest. Building an emergency fund will not make you feel rich. In the beginning, it may even feel like you are falling behind. You see others spending, upgrading, traveling, and enjoying life, and you are quietly building a safety net no one sees. But the truth is simple. You are not falling behind. You are moving ahead quietly. Most people only start thinking about emergency funds after a disaster, after a job loss, after debt becomes heavy, after stress becomes normal. You are choosing to prepare before pain forces you to. That alone puts you in a different category. There is also another hidden benefit of an emergency fund. It protects your mental health. Financial stress is one of the strongest sources of anxiety in modern life. It affects your sleep, your relationships, your focus, your energy, your confidence, and most of that stress does not come from how much money you have. It comes from how fragile your situation is. Fragility is exhausting. Stability is powerful. When you know you have a buffer, your nervous system relaxes. You stop constantly scanning for danger. You stop overthinking every small expense. You stop feeling guilty for normal needs. Your mind becomes lighter. Your future becomes clearer. And this is where the habit becomes even more meaningful. Because once you build an emergency fund, something interesting happens. You start protecting it. You stop using it for emotional spending. You stop using it for impulsive decisions. You stop confusing wants with emergencies. You develop discipline without forcing it. Your financial behavior slowly aligns with your long-term goals. And that is how one small habit creates a much bigger change. But let's be very realistic. emergencies will still happen. An emergency fund does not prevent problems. It prevents panic. It does not remove pain. It removes chaos. It does not make life perfect. It makes life manageable. And that is enough to protect your future. Now, here is a simple structure you can follow starting today. First, decide one tiny amount you can save daily. Something so small it feels impossible to fail. $1, 1,000 rupiah, any amount that removes friction. Second, create a separate place for your emergency fund. A different account, a different wallet, a different label. This psychological separation is extremely important. Your brain needs to know that this money has a different purpose. Third, automate it if possible. Daily or weekly transfers are better than monthly. Short cycles build habits faster. Fourth, define your emergency clearly. Write it down. Job loss, medical expense, urgent repair, family emergency, nothing else. This clarity will protect your fund more than any rule. And finally, be patient. This habit grows slowly, but its impact is fast. Because the very first month you start saving, your future becomes slightly safer than yesterday. That is already a win. There will be days when you feel tempted to skip it, when expenses rise, when motivation drops, when progress looks invisible. On those days, remember this simple truth. You are not saving money. You are buying freedom from panic. You are buying time to think. You are buying the ability to say no. You are buying the power to make calm decisions in a stressful world. And that is why this emergency fund habit will save your future. Not because it makes you wealthy, but because it makes you resilient. So start today. Start small. Start with $1 a day.